Okay, so I know the last couple of weeks have been a little bit wild. We released some new stuff, and I know there was a couple of us on the team that ended October feeling a little down in the dumps and maybe like we were working really hard and just weren't making any progress. And it can really make the mindset stuff a really big mountain to climb. And I know all three of us have experienced that, have felt that. And um, I was reminded of a book actually that Kaylee and I did this summer, and it was called The Gap and the Gain. And
Mm.
the whole thing, have you read it?
Yes, I was with y'all with that one.
Oh yeah, I couldn't remember. So, so I wanted to go back and talk about some of the stuff in that because I feel like it's something that we all need to revisit, even if we've done the book. And for those who may be watching the recording later, that maybe haven't done the book, the whole premise is staying in the gain and recognizing when you're in the gap. So the gap would be anything negative. So like something bad happens or something uncomfortable or undesirable happens, and that's what you focus on. You focus on the bad thing instead of looking at the good that can come out of that or the good that may have already happened. And so some of the things, just based on some of last month's conversations that I wanted to talk about is to make sure that we're always measuring backwards. And the first time I read that, I that didn't really make sense to me because I looked at it as like keeping your eyes in the past. And we don't. We always want to be looking forward. But it's so important to set goals and have goals and be shooting for something, have something that you're working towards. Hey, Gunner. But to always keep in mind where you've come from. And that's what that means, like to measure backwards, is I may be wanting to go here, but I started way over here. And to look back and celebrate the personal growth, the business growth, and all the gains along the way. Um, it's just like just appreciating those things. So there was one quote that stood out to me. It says, the only way to measure the distance you've traveled is by measuring from where you are back to the point where you started. And man, I just really love that visual because when you think about it in terms of like going on vacation, you got your heart set on the destination, but you kind of have to track how far you've gone, right? To know where you're getting to. And it's the same thing with our business. And so you know, when we have those times that we're super discouraged and we feel like we're not getting there fast enough and like I should have already been senior ruby or I should have already been senior gold or all of my people are quitting and I must be a sucky leader. All of those things that go through our head, we have to look back and go, okay, you know what? I may not be where I want to be, but look what I started as. Look how far I've come. And so, one of the ways to measure backwards and stay in the gain is to just measure your wins on a daily basis. And I will admit that's something I'm really bad at. You know, are y'all, do y'all feel the same way? Yeah. So, I think we're like our minds are hardwired to focus on the negative. And I think that's like a fight or flight kind of thing. Like if we're preparing for the worst is ahead of us, like we'll be ready for it, you know? But that is so harmful in our business. And one of the things that the author, it's his name is Dan Sullivan, with he's a strategic coach along with Dr. Benjamin Hardy. These are two super smart guys that are like have changed the way I see things. But one of the things that they said was in order to boost your confidence and stay in the gain is to write down 3 wins on a daily basis. And they recommend doing it right before you go to bed so that you go to bed on a positive note. And what that does when you even if you had a crappy day, you can look back and find at least 3 good things. I mean, you're alive, you're healthy, your kid got an A on a test, or maybe you had enough money to buy groceries today, whatever it is, you can find something to have gratitude about. And when you start practicing that gratitude daily, it sets you in a more positive mindset, and it boosts your confidence. And there's like scientific research that's been done on it. I can't tell you all the facts and figures, but somebody smart did the research, and they said people who celebrate their gratitude daily are more successful people. So I don't know about you, but that's something that I want to start doing. So I would challenge you, even if it's like setting an alert in your phone to remind you, to write down 3 things daily that you are happy about, that you're proud of, a win that you've had. So 3 wins for the day. Yeah, Kaylee, I'm glad we're revisiting it too, because um like this is seriously a game changer. We're gonna come up against more and more hurdles the further we go in our business, but we have to continue to celebrate what we've done and how far we've come. Okay.
That's honestly going to be really easy to implement for me just because we already sit down at supper and ask the kids like what was something what was the best part of your day, and then who did you help today? So those are already things that we do, and so just asking them 3 wins for their day too is going to be really easy. And so that will kind of keep my mind. I'll be able to answer it, you know, personal, but also in my mind for my business too. So
Yeah,
I hope that's going to be good. I think it'll
I
be
love
fun for
that.
the kids.
So when you do that with your family, do you and Ty participate in that also?
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Yeah,
Yes. They always ask. They're like, you asked us, so we're going to ask you. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
I
what are,
love that.
let me get you this long list of who we helped. And they're like, okay, guys, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's funny
they
because
do ask.
like we used to do some of that with our girls, but it was like when they would come home from school. How was your day? Tell me something
Mhm.
good that happened, you know? And another thing that we used to do with our girls is if they were complaining about something, we would stop them and we would say, okay, now you have to say 3 nice things, 3 good things,
Yes.
you know? And it like it does like it shifts your mentality so much. And I don't know. I think we just live in a negative society that is programmed that way, and that's super sad. But we don't have to be that way. We can change the narrative. And I love that you're implementing that for your kids, because you are setting your kids up to live in the game. And that is like, good job, mom. That's awesome.
Trying,
Right?
trying.
Yeah. Well, when you see something that works for you, you want to get your kids in on it as soon as possible, you know? Okay. So the other thing that I loved was he said to make sure that you transform every experience into a gain. And some of those experiences are going to be really easy to transform into a gain, and some of them you're going to have to really, really work at it. And my dog's about to drive me crazy because she's ready to eat and she's acting like a spoiled brat. Anyway, there was a time a few years ago before and I think I talked about this before when we did the book study, but there was a time when we were going through a really, really hard season. Brandon's dad was dying of cancer. Allie had to have 2 sinus surgeries. I got shingles of the eye. We were going through a sales tax audit. And like all of this happened, all of this was like stacking on top of itself in about a 2 month period. And it was kind of like, what else could go wrong? And we had just built this really beautiful home for some people right across they were literally our neighbors. They lived right across the street from us. And it was like over $1 million home. And we got to the end of the project and they walked away from their final bill of $40,000. And that was like, it was crushing because that was pretty much like what we would have made on that house, and we still had subcontractors to pay. And it was funny because thank God we looked at it this way and didn't get ulcers. But it was a learning experience for us. And we could have looked at it and gone, we're done. We're throwing in the towel. We can't stay in business. I don't want to do this anymore. What if it happens again? And we looked at each other and we said, we're just going to let it make us better business people. And that's what we did. That's what we took away from it. We shifted gears. We implemented some things in our business to try to protect us. And but keep our integrity and keep the way we do business, personally with people. And it was really a huge learning experience. And at that point, I didn't know about the gap in the gain, but I'm grateful that at that point we were able to stay in the gain and transform that horrible situation into something that we could grow from. And um in the book, he says, if you embrace your valleys and learn from them, you can use what you're going through to create far bigger peaks in your future. And for us at that point in life, it was really a turning point. I mean, we had to overcome a whole lot in the next year. Once they pulled their stunt, it was just a couple more weeks before Brandon's dad passed, and there was just a lot, but we were able to work through it because our mindset was so different. We weren't defeated. And so I go back to that and I think, how many times in my Plexus business have I let the feeling of defeat creep in and keep me from doing the things that I should be doing? How many times have I gotten in my head, stopped doing my IPA, and just had a pity party? A lot more than I would care to admit to, you know? But we're all human. So, um, but one other thing that I came across in the book when I was going back through it was he pointed out that successful people don't control events, they control how they respond. And man, that hit me really hard because we can't control how people respond to us asking them about their products. We can't control people turning off their subs or quitting or being ugly about their experience or people joining the business and not doing the work. We can't control those things, but we can control how we respond to them. So, what is one thing for you that has felt really hard and you feel like maybe you've stayed in the gap too long and you're ready to make a shift? What's one thing you can think of?
Um, Honestly, it is still always in the back of my mind that I have to know all of it to be successful. And I don't know, that one really gets me. It keeps me in the gap quite often. And I figure out a small little piece or I get some new information. Um, and I get this whole new like motivation and this drive um and I feel like I'm going down the road and then I get to another stop sign or whatever and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know anything about that." Oh no. So I sit there forever um until I figure that out, I guess, and just kind of that just for me, that's always been something in the back of my mind. Um
Feeling like you should know
but
more.
yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
what is
Yeah.
something that you can do moving forward now that you've recognized that? What is something you can do moving forward to pivot in those situations and get yourself back in the game?
Um find more diamond documentaries, find more podcasts. I mean, just sticking like trying to find something to watch every single day.
Okay.
That's something I've got to figure out all of the YouTube stuff, because I know there's tons of videos and trainings. Um, if nothing else, just from Jordan Roddenberry that she has done, going through um, some of our Facebook groups and finding material there and some trainings and little things like that. Um, I just have to stop letting the I don't have time excuse
Yeah.
creep in too.
Yeah.
So,
I get that. And the reality is, newsflash, you're not ever going to know it all because everybody's so different, you know? But the cool thing is that every new thing that you don't know is something new you just learned, you know? And now you can stick that in your toolbox and there's your win for the day. I didn't know, but now I do. And the next time I get this question, I have a resource for it, or I can confidently answer that question, or I can point these people in the right direction, you know? And so that's one of those situations where it's like you hit the roadblock, but you were able to go around that roadblock and keep going instead of staying stuck there going, well, I just don't know. I'm never going to know enough. I am dumb. I hate this because I'm terrible at it. And all those negative thoughts that the enemy brings in that stop us in our tracks. So I love that. For me, I think something hard, something that's felt hard to me lately and has kept me in the gap, honestly, is it has been absolutely chaotic around here. The amount of demands and pulls on my time. And I can actually have a plan and sit down and get interrupted every stinking time because something went sideways on the job site and Brandon needs me to go fill the gap, you know, and that's been hard because then by the end of the day, I'm like, I don't want to send messages. I just want to be done. My brain is tired. And so that is something that I'm really actively having to work on is, you know, warming up my market again and filling my funnel and doing my IPA. And that's something I'm really having to consciously work at and something that I need to change my attitude around. And I recognize that. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to do this today is because I need it. I need to shift my mindset if I want to get to the next level and help you guys do the same. So, okay, Kaylee says, let me see. She said, going outside of my daily routine box of tasks. I'm not pushing myself or my business to grow because I'm not growing in my knowledge. Like Justine said, educate myself and just do the scary things. So Kaylee is on a road trip with some people and everybody's asleep. So she's trying to not wake everyone up. But Kaylee, I love that you recognize that. Um, and that you are open to pushing yourself and getting out of your comfort zone, not just staying stuck where you are. Because that's gonna help you help your people. Because I feel like your group is kind of that same mindset of not wanting to get out of their comfort zone, just do the easy things. And then if it gets very much harder than that, I'm just going to quit or I'm just going to, you know, it didn't pan out. Nobody wants it. And all those excuses. And so I think you starting to make that shift personally is going to help your team start making that shift. And, you know, we just need to keep working on how to get over that hump and encourage your people. And I think that the Golds Under Golds training that we're about to start doing with Dream Team is really going to help with a lot of that. That's our Monday night calls. I would highly recommend making those a priority, especially for both of you because of where you are in your business and the fact that you actually have people that have said yes to working the business and how to get them to gold under you. So I think we're about to have some really great resources moving forward, and I'm excited about it. So